Hello, hello. Day. Are we on day 5? I think we're on day 5. Are we on day 5? We're on day 5, day 6, day 5, day 6, day 5, day 6. We're on day 6 of our daily embodiment challenge. The word challenge has been hard for me to wrap my brain around. It is a challenge. Like, this is challenging to do, and I am challenging myself to show up to it. And also, I want it to be like a series. I want it to like not feel so like um okay. Today I just opened to a random book. We're going to use this random book. Same book. Same book. Beautiful book. Essential Art Therapy Exercises by Leah Guzman. And we are doing the page I just randomly opened to, which is Therapeutic Filmmaking. And now the practice that it's going to lead through is going to be different than my embodiment of it, because part of embodiment is not doing too much pre-planning and just sort of like going with the flow and seeing what comes up, versus when you're making a film, you are consciously curating content and then bringing it together. So the benefits of this practice are that it develops self-reflection and self-awareness and builds coping and emotional regulation skills, all of which I would like more of. Yes, please, and thank you. Okay. Prep time, 10 minutes. Exercise time, 50 minutes. Materials, audio and visual recording device, such as a smartphone or tablet. So if you'd like to do this at home, you know what to do. Here we go. Description of the practice. Therapeutic filmmaking is similar to traditional filmmaking, but there are fewer steps. The intention is to reflect on past experiences and process emotions in an effort to lead to a healthier well-being. Oh, I want to lead. I want to lead with that. I want to lead with that. I want to lean into that. I want to all the LEA words into that. I'm going to read it again. The intention, and I love intention as like a grounding rod into ritual practice, into somatic care, into embodied experience. And as performing artists, what we do is a form of ritual practice. And I think that if we can utilize these tools of how we step in and out of whether it's a therapeutic exercise for helping with anxiety, depression, and PTSD, or whether it's a ritual practice and that's a ceremonial and designed for some form of healing or transcendence or catharsis, or you begin one way and you end a different way from the beginning to the end, just like when we step into a play or performance, our character transitions from one way of being to another way of being most of the time. Sometimes there's a static main character and things around the static character changes, but that's less common in the ways story forms work. Okay, so continuing on, this process can take multiple sessions. So this process can take multiple sessions if you are doing it as a filmmaking process. We are doing it again today as an embodiment practice and exercise, just taking the formula that Leah Guzman offers, which is designed to help manage some of the symptoms that I have, and you probably or might have as well. If you're here, you probably do. And if you're performing artist, chances are there's a lot. There's just a lot we move through, both in our lives to get us to the point where we want to choose to be a performing artist, and then also in the training of the performing arts, of sometimes doing things that we feel are too much or too soon for us, and we're not ready for, maybe happen too fast. So there's a lot of and that's really what creates the potential for trauma, and trauma not being the event or the spirit experience or circumstance, but what happens in the body as a result of it, right? And so if you have unresolved fight, flight, freeze, fawn, shut down, all of that energetic content in your body, then that is a sort of classification that, depending on who you listen to, might be qualified as being stuck in like a trauma pattern or certain coping strategies that you might want to redefine or look at, or find new tools to create different neural pathways in your mind, how you think about things, but also how your body communicates to your mind what the signals are saying, how your mind is interpreting that, and then how you choose to take action from there. Or even what sensations, what your body is understanding, and how you instinctually and reactively are in response or reactivity. The idea is to, for me, with self-care for performers, because I know all therapeutic modalities are different, all healing modalities are different. And so I don't want to speak for all of that, but my eyes are getting itchy. And I find that this is a common thing when I start to speak into something that either I'm not ready to talk about, or that is challenging to talk about, or is that there's like a collective experience of like, whew, wow, is this too much to share? So instead of sharing it, I'm going to be with that feeling that I am in an experience right now that feels like, wow, is this too much to share? And I'm just going to hold the space because it feels like it's really active right here in sort of what my perspective would be. And I'm just going to be here until it starts to change or shift. I'm noticing that my hands are getting like narrower. I'm also noticing that I feel like my spine is getting a little straighter, and that the space between my eyes, like where the third eye is feeling kind of like warm. I feel like I'm bringing my hands together now. I'm not trying to do that. I'm just noticing that it's happening. The body will kind of start to just move and inform you on your own with these embodiment practices. And you're like, what? And letting yourself listen to it and be in the stillness long enough to trust it is really the majority of the practice. And it can be helpful to have someone to help you feel that you have permission for that, which is part of what I do in my one-on-one space, and part of what I do for myself in this sort of shared embodiment practice that we're moving through right now. So apparently I'm like moving around this left arm, which I'm aware of. I guess we're starting our embodiment. Maybe we're not actually doing the book. We'll see. Maybe we'll get there. But I have this like heaviness, or this something feels, the words that's coming through is something feels wrong with the left side. Like I have this idea that something is wrong with my, because the left side is the feminine side. Something's wrong with my feminine side. Something is wrong with it. Like there's something wrong with the left side. And left feels even more appropriate than feminine right now. And like when you say like I'm following a left-handed path, that's usually like the more like self-centered path, the path that is often known as like the dark path, or the shadow path or whatnot. And this is the path that I feel most comfortable on. I feel most, ooh, ooh, ooh. So I just hit this back thing that I've been sitting on and using as a stool. There's this awareness that I feel frozen here because there's this something's wrong with the left side. Like my perspective isn't welcome. And I know that. I do know that, which is why it's hard to talk about. So I'm just going to sit and wait for things to change or evolve, or for my body to give me information of what to do next or how to adapt. Oh, and then so I was putting pressure in like this head and like reaching up through the back of my head up and back. This feels like an alternative, so that like my shift in perspective that happens from what I know, who I know I am and what I know I do, but that allows for me to share from the up and back perspective, like the bird's eye view, like the purveyor, the in the crow's nest, bird of prey, sort of falcon, eagle, sort of wide lens. And in my astrology chart, I think it's the 10th house, which I think is all about like, and it's like the 10th or 11th, and they're like more about like public image and like career and like the way people in the world perceive you on like a more like collective level. I have both my Saturn and my Saturn is in Scorpio over there, and I have a couple of other clusters of things, but Saturn and Scorpio over there in that house is a lot about, because Scorpio is, well, it's a scorpion. And there are 3 layers of how we can interpret Scorpio energy. There's like the scorpion that stings, right? There's the lizard, that runs and hides. So I've been in a lot of that. And then there's the eagle or the falcon or the bird of prey that sort of pervades over. And so I think that it's important for me as I engage in what I'm talking about to, and I'm back to this same perspective thing, that this perspective needs to come from not the scorpion, not the lizard. It needs to come from the falcon. It needs to, and this reminds me of yesterday's embodiment. It was at the bottom of the pool, but I was doing this sort of like writing the edges, the container of the outside of the pool. And today it's almost like it's that same kind of like undulation and while wings and air as opposed to water and being met by a container. But it's a similar sort of process or practice. And there's like a willingness to be in my heart, but like removed enough, separate enough. Wow, I'm not in the space in the room I thought I was. That I want to stand up there and talk at you. Maybe not at you, but to you. But there's this like willingness to be up here, to be, I'm looking at I have a little fiddle leaf fig over there at the side of the room. My palms feel connected to its leaves, but I'm way over here, but I can still feel it. Something about this feels, I don't know, important. I'm like pulling the sensation of the leaf with me across to the right as my left side goes to meet it as well. And I'm just gonna stay here till things change. I feel like something in my heart, like this happened the other day in the session too, something is like landing in my heart. What was the medicine I found there? It was that I needed to go down. I needed to go downward spiral and be with like the grief, the softness, the experience of descent. the quietness. I want to put my hands down and just drop my head. So I'm going to do that for myself. So I feel like I want to name right now the beauty and the importance of taking a shape for yourself in your body. When your body wants something to say, okay, and then give that to your body. And this is different than like addictive coping strategies. This is like, no, this is just what I want. It doesn't hurt anything or anyone or myself. It's just a shape I want to take. And now I want to take my legs off the back and just feel what? Feel feel the power of the earth under my feet. I know I'm not touching that like actual earth. I'm in an apartment and my hands are on like a cushy couch, but I feel like it's like honoring earth, honoring gravity, honoring support, letting myself trust that. I want to come down further and I want to put my chest, my heart on this stool. Oh, and that felt good. Okay. Now that I've done that, let's see what happens. Okay, take 10 minutes and identify a theme for your film. Promote prompts to help you begin include who are you, where are you from? I kind of like the who are you. I've been incorporating a lot of the who am I and allowing these practices to build on each other and the things that I've sourced from sessions in the past to kind of inform oh, we found a way through there. Let's utilize that tool to help us through this. To see if it works. And sometimes it might not work, and that's okay, but sometimes it will, and that's really beautiful. Create a list of ideas of what you want to include in your film. Think of images, audio, and text that help express your theme. Use the recording device to document your story. Save your film. Watch the film to see it from another perspective. So what's cool about these embodiment practices and just my experience in Pages and Process as well, or any of the practices that I've been doing for the last couple of years that have been making and sharing, recording my process, recording my practice, and then having a form of delivery to the other, which is you. It allows me to also be the other, to deliver it to myself as well, and then to see and watch and to experience myself from another perspective. So it can be really helpful to do something like that. Okay, we're just going to do who are you? I'm just going to walk that. This is my film. This is my therapeutic filmmaking of I am now the film, the therapeutic film of who I am. I'm aware that I chose to wear my black dress today, and I did that before I knew what practice we were going to be doing, but it feels important. I love this dress. It's one of my favorite dresses. I like it because it feels like it connects me to the who I am. And who am I? I don't want words. I just want to move. I'm aware that my arms, like, they're metaphorically holding space and carving through possibility, but they're not actually in this moment, at least, touching anything physical, tangible. It's more like relational ethers holding. And there feels like there's something really special or precious to me about that. I just want to listen to it. Like, listen to the water, listen to the wind, feel into the fire. And experience the earth's trust. That feels like it. I know that was kind of like simple sweet, but I could use a little simple sweet after how all of the things, all of the emotions that in between embodiment sessions that have been being just brought up, and my yesterday being really feeling very emotionally heavy and just needing a lot of downtime. So I'm grateful for you to join me for this. Thanks for being here. And if you want the download of today's practice or the other practices throughout this embodiment series, which is the challenge, this December daily embodiment challenge that I'm doing, you can join me over on Patreon in the main tier and receive all the merch and all the perks, or just the accessibility tier at its base level, or even adjust that tier to some sliding scale portion between the base and the full price if you have a little bit more to feel like you can be in support of the work I'm doing here, and to keep this channel going and to keep these practices accessible, then I would value that deeply. And if you'd like to connect for a holiday healing special, I have a 3-hour or 3-part coaching connection that you can come into relationship with. And it's just a way for us to either spend a consolidated 3 hours together where we move through a big creative block or an emotional tenderness that you want to be held through, or you can break that up into 2-hour-and-a-half sessions or 3-hour-long sessions and feel what it's like to be met and move into some form of ritual or embodiment or conversational support that is going to meet you where you're at, transition you into a place, and then do that a couple of times to test the waters of maybe even being in my longer partnerships, which are a 3-month, a 6-month, and a 12-month container, which is designed for really deepening you into a sense of soul-rooted self-trust and organic creative bloom, so that you can feel like you have access to the business of belonging. And belonging, there is a kind of relational consistency, I find, that can be fostered, and there can be a way in which you can cultivate the life, the style, the relational dynamics that you need to feel safe enough to show up to whatever it is that you feel your work is in the world, whether that is very specifically as a performing artist or a conscious creator, or if you have another kind of role or task or relationship care that you're maybe you're a caretaker, or you are a healer or your coach in your own right, and maybe you're a parent or a just human in the world working their stuff out. We all are artists of our own life. And a lot of these practices are really about developing and cultivating self-trust and creative agency over the choices you make on a day-to-day basis, on a moment-to-moment somatic level, learning how to listen to and trust your body, learning how to be in relationship, in intimate connection between the mind and the body, so that they are both serving and utilizing your system and the pathway between the heart as a way to integrate a life worth living for you, a creative connection that you feel really good and solid and satiated by, so that you don't feel like you have to keep escaping from where you're at or running off to an eventual future that's going to be better than the one you're in right now, but that you can really start to experience what you want and magnetize what would feel like that match into being in the here and the now, so that you're not chasing, running, feeling desperate, doing too much all the time. And instead finding a pace that works for you, finding the patterns that are going to support your personal sense of compatibility, because you're allowed to have that. Okay, I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.